I've been cheating on my husband for the better part of our 20-year relationship, including with gigolos. I know how bad that sounds, but I don't see it the way he does. For me, it's just sex. It doesn't mean anything, and it's not personal. I know he thinks it's a betrayal, and every time he finds out, it hurts him and chips away at what we have. The first time he found out was about 5 years ago. I had been meeting someone occasionally during his long work hours, and I got careless. He found a string of texts on my phone, messages I hadn't deleted yet. I'll never forget the look on his face when he confronted me. Pure disbelief. He had always trusted me completely, and I could see how devastated he was. I broke down and told him everything, swearing it was just a mistake, something that didn't mean anything, and it would never happen again. Our child was only 12 at the time, and I think that's why he stayed. He told me he didn't want to break up our family, that our child deserved both parents together, which was more than he ever had growing up. He made it clear, though, that he couldn't handle another betrayal. For a while, things were okay. I genuinely wanted to change, and I thought I could. But eventually, the pattern started again. He found out a second time 2 years after that, this time through a suspicious charge on our credit card. I told him it was work-related, but he knew better. He confronted me again, and I admitted that I'd been seeing someone during lunch breaks. He was furious, but I could see the exhaustion in his eyes too. It was as if he was already bracing for this to happen. I apologized again, promised to stop, and begged him to give me one last chance. I could tell he was staying more for our child than for me at that point. He said he didn't want to be a part-time dad and couldn't stand the idea of our kid growing up in a broken home. Since then, I've tried to be better, but it hasn't been perfect. Every few months, I slip up. It might be a random hookup or meeting someone I'd been chatting with online. I've told myself over and over that it's harmless because it's just sex to me, but I know that's not how he sees it. The problem is, no matter how much I try to move past it, he doesn't. He becomes distant, emotionless, and sometimes even angry. He withholds intimacy because he says he's repulsed. And I get it, but it's hard not to feel like I'm being punished constantly. I feel like he doesn't see the effort I'm making. I've even told him that I've cut back. I'm not doing it as much as I used to. But instead of recognizing that, he gets more upset. He doesn't appreciate that I've tried to have more restraint. I know he feels like I'm gaslighting him, but I don't think that's fair. I'm trying to explain how I see it. I'm not some monster who doesn't care about him or our child. I do care, but I also don't think this has to define us. The thing is, I know he's not okay. He looks at me like I'm a stranger. I see how hurt he is, how tired, how broken. It's like he's just going through the motions, and I can't figure out how to fix it. He used to be forgiving, understanding, even rational about things. Now I feel like he's shutting down. Edit. I'm okay with his anger, but what scares me most now is that he's calmer now. The angry confrontations are gone, and he's polite and distant instead. Our child is 17 and will be going off to college in a few months. I can't help but feel like he's just holding on until then, staying for the sake of appearances and to make sure our child has a stable home until they leave. I don't have proof, but it's this gut feeling I can't shake. He's not the same man who used to argue with me about fixing things. He's resigned, and that terrifies me. If he leaves, I don't know what I'll do. I feel like the walls are closing in. Regardless of everything I have done, I still want our family. It's my #1 priority, even though I have a shitty way of showing it. Update: I have been subletting a room from a friend in a shared house with 3 other people. The arrangement was week to week. I know I was digging myself in a hole when I agreed to it. But 2 years ago, I went through a traumatizing divorce that left me in ruins. So it was all I could afford at the time. Now my friend has asked me to move out because the other 2 tenants are expecting a baby and need the space. I understand their reasoning, but this leaves me without a place to stay and no immediate plan. I have no formal lease agreement, only a verbal week-to-week arrangement, so I'm wondering if I have any legal rights to stay longer while I figure things out. Can they just ask me to leave without written notice? If they give notice, how much time am I entitled to under the law? I don't have savings to secure a new place. The divorce left me financially ruined. I didn't receive alimony, just a lump sum from the sale of my ex-husband's house, which didn't last long. Now I live paycheck to paycheck, and I'm also obligated to pay 1/3 of my child's college fees as part of the divorce settlement. So there's no money at all. Is there any legal protection for someone in my situation? Could I push for more time to move? Or is there assistance available for low-income individuals facing housing issues like this? I don't want to end this on a bad note as well. My friends were a huge source of support during my divorce, but I'm desperate here. Story 2. How can I support my boyfriend I have betrayed? In this situation, I am the bad person. I am the cheater. My boyfriend and I have been together since I was a teenager, and up until last night, we were the only person the other had ever been with. We were out with friends, and he felt ill and went home, while I continued to drink and ended up going back to the flat of a couple that we are friends with. Things escalated into a threesome. It was short-lived as I began to sober up and left, I told my boyfriend as soon as I got home. He has chosen to forgive me, and I am so grateful. However, I still feel incredibly guilty. And also, he seems to be holding back in his reaction. Is there anything that someone could suggest I could do or say to open a discussion that will eventually lead to closure? I hope to be with him for the rest of my life and don't want this to stay with us. Thank you. Edit. They brought up the idea as something they had discussed between themselves before. My boyfriend has never been interested in an open relationship before or involving other people. There was vaginal penetration, and I told him this, but he did not want to hear details beyond this. He doesn't want to have any contact with the couple for a while, and I also want to distance myself from them. I have let them know today that I want to do this, and he knows about that, and is glad that I feel that way and had that conversation. They also feel guilty as we have all been friends a long time, and know that we are exclusive, and I was cheating. My boyfriend has also said that he wants to put this behind us and move on. I want to do whatever I can to achieve that. You need to understand that even though he's chosen to forgive you, that doesn't mean everything is fine or that the relationship is back to normal. He's likely still processing what happened, and his emotions might be all over the place right now. You need to give him space to work through it while also being there for him when he's ready to talk. Start by being as honest and transparent as possible. If he wants to talk about what happened, answer his questions, no matter how uncomfortable they might be. Don't try to downplay what happened or shift blame. Own up to your actions completely. At the same time, let him set the pace for these discussions. If he's holding back, it might be because he's not ready to confront the situation fully. One thing you can do is acknowledge that forgiveness doesn't erase the hurt. Tell him you understand that he's still processing and that it's okay for him to feel angry, hurt, or confused. Show him through your actions that you're committed to making things right. This could mean making changes to rebuild trust, like being more open about your plans and whereabouts, or going to therapy if he thinks that would help. Also, you need to address why this happened. Was it just poor judgment and alcohol, or is there something deeper going on in the relationship or within yourself? If you're not clear on that, it's going to be hard to prevent it from happening again. Most importantly, don't expect this to blow over quickly. He might say he forgives you now, but forgiveness is a process, not a one-time decision. Be patient, be consistent, and understand that rebuilding trust takes time, possibly a long time. The fact that you want to make things right is a start, but it's your actions moving forward that will truly matter. Now, some comments, sorry to say there's no closure. He will never have full trust in you again and will likely relive his own version of the betrayal over and over in his mind. It's cancerous and lives in the back of your mind. The decision to move on is simply a decision to live with this. Some people are tortured more than others by it, but there is no real closure that can be had. I'd say that the best you can do is to continue to be truthful and to be ready to experience the guilt of what occurred going forward. Just cruise the sub here, and you'll see that even a decade in, cheating insecurities force themselves back into victims' minds. Just be ready to relive this many times over and know that you'll never be trusted the same way again. Not trying to make you feel worse, but it's the truth. He will snap out of the shock, and his torment and anxiety will hit him then. After that, you will find out if he wants to keep your relationship going. Right now, he wants to hold on to what you had. He will have to reassess after it sinks on what path you chose. To help him, just be there and face the storm with him. Honestly, though, he will now feel like he is not enough to keep you from cheating, and his self-esteem will be completely gone for a very long time. He also will never trust you like he did. Eventually, he will resent that you did this while he was trying to stay honorable, and he will likely resent you. I would say you have a chance of making it, but he will never be the same. You need to accept that you irrevocably change the relationship dynamic, and the new relationship may not be what either of you want.